I'm Arbs here, and today I want to talk to you about Resident Evil on Xbox. Every so often, people ask me questions about my collection, kind of give you a little bit of a preview of the Resident Evil titles that I have in my collection, and maybe give you some guidelines on some of the Resident Evil titles you should be looking for to add to your collection, especially if you're just getting started in collecting Xbox physical. First one that we have up here is the Resident Evil Origins. This is 0 and 1. It has been, I would say, lightly remastered for Xbox, but it's still kind of a 1080p experience, to be honest. It is probably not the greatest. If you are not one who is familiar with the Resident Evil series, this one gives you a really good introduction to the series. It kind of takes you right on through into where I think things really get interesting, which is Resident Evil 2. Now, Resident Evil 2 received I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, it got a 4K 60 upgrade, ray tracing as well. The enhancements, I think, are mostly focused on the engine performance, the tweaking, and so forth. A lot of people say around the reflections, because I do think the reflections were kind of a problem in 2. It's a very good title, and all in all, it's probably one of my favorites, that's for sure. Resident Evil 3 also got a 4K 60 upgrade with ray tracing and HDR. Now, this one is pretty cool because I do think the reflections and stuff are way more pronounced and look a lot better in Resident Evil 3. And this one is really well done, and I would highly recommend it. Very good one to add to your collection, reasonable prices in physical. This is Resident Evil 4. Now, this Resident Evil 4 obviously is the Resident Evil 4 remake that came out last year. Resident Evil 4 remake is a completely remastered version of Resident Evil and of Resident Evil 4, and it's very well done, looks great, plays great. It's almost like a completely different experience from what I remember from the original Resident Evil 4. Definitely one you should check out. Resident Evil 5 now, one thing that's interesting about this one has not received the 4K remaster upgrade treatment. It is available in physical. I've had it for a while. I think I even own the Steelbook version of this one. Very good game itself. I love this one. 5 as always was one of my favorites. I would say you probably are safe to assume this is going to get a remastered version somewhere in the near future, and I think that's something to take into consideration for sure with your buying. So if you buy it now, you know the remastered may be coming along sooner than you think. Resident Evil 6 is another one. This one did not get the remastered treatment yet. 6 is kind of an interesting one. I never really cared too much for 6. I thought 6 was kind of an odd game, to be perfectly honest. But like 5, I do think you're looking at possible remaster, like what we saw with 4. I think 5 and 6 are probably the two titles that I think have the most likelihood of getting a remaster. Now, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, it did get 4K 60 HDR remastering. It's actually really well done. It's got a lot of the good things that you would want in this version of the game. So I do think that it's very good to know that, you know, they spent the extra time doing this, because this was pretty much the last one before Resident Evil 8, as everybody knows, or Village, or Evil Village, is pretty cool in the fact that, you know, I have the Steelbook version of it, but the thing is this one runs in their RE engine. This has got all the bells and whistles, ray tracing, 4K, and it's probably kind of their showpiece right now for their graphics on Resident Evil. Now, there are two offshoot stories. There's Resident Evil Revelations. This one is kind of an interesting game. I honestly think that the second one that you're going to see here in a second is a little bit better, but I do think the kind of a side quest story sort of a vibe is something that you should check out if you haven't. Now, this is Revelations editions too, available in physical. I kind of like this one a little more. I think it's a little more polished and a lot better game. So there you have it, Resident Evil in physical for Xbox in my collection. Now, do I think Resident Evil is a series worth collecting? Yeah, I really do. I honestly think that Capcom has been a good supporter of Xbox for a long time, and I think that collecting Resident Evil games, they don't go down in price, and they're a lot of fun. And if you haven't played them all, you really should. If you like those horror survival type games, these are some of the best I think have ever been made for the console space. My name is Marbs. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.